Buried deep in Zambia's history are two places that hold clues to both human civilization and Earth's ancient past. Ingombe Illede, once a thriving trade hub where gold, copper, and glass beads flowed through the hands of merchants, and Chirundu Fossil Forest, a site so old that the trees standing there aren't trees at all, but stone, frozen in time for millions of years. How did a place of booming trade become a forgotten ruin? And what can fossilized trees tell us about a world that existed long before humans? Stick around, because these places have stories that will change the way you see history. In 1960, government workers were busy setting up a water tank near the meeting point of the Zambezi and Lusithu rivers in Zambia. What was supposed to be a routine job turned into a major historical discovery. As they dug into the ground, they uncovered ancient artifacts, revealing a lost piece of Africa's past. This place is now known as Ingombe Illede, one of Zambia's most important archaeological sites. Driving towards Ingombe Illede is an experience in itself. As you approach, a baobab forest surrounds the road, creating an awe-inspiring sight. These ancient trees, some of the oldest living things in Africa, stand tall with their thick, twisting trunks and wide canopies. The presence of these trees makes the journey feel almost mythical, as if stepping into a forgotten past. Ingombe Illede sits on a hill near Siavonga in Zambia's southern province. The name means sleeping cow in the local language, inspired by a large baobab tree near the site that resembles a cow lying down from a distance. So once again, welcome to Ingombe Illede. Now, I want to get on top here. If you went to school in Zambia, you definitely have had an opportunity to learn about this heritage site. This place was known because it was a common trading site back in the 13th, 15th century. However, it was discovered in 1960 by a team that was actually putting up water tanks around this area, and they discovered some artifacts underground. And this area was already known by the locals as Ingombe Illede because of this tree trunk, huge tree trunk by the way, which took the shape of a sleeping cow. So Ingombe Illede is actually sleeping cow translated in the local language, which is Tonga. And to finally put a face to it, to finally get an opportunity to visit it, is such an exciting thing. I think if you're a historian or a student of history, the Zambian history, you'll just be fascinated by coming to see this tree trunk. I mean, the shape, I'm sure, has changed over time. However, you can still see, in how it's formed, that indeed this particular trunk had the shape or took the form of a tree. I think those are the horns there. It's like the back of it. But wow, what an experience it has been.
Welcome to Ingombe Illede Heritage Site. My names are Omeni Manyonga. I'm a caretaker here. So behind me is what we call Ingombe Illede. It's just a baobab tree which has the shape of the sleeping cow. Yes, and this baobab tree is still alive, as you can see. Still alive, but this is another tree. This is tamarind. So in short, there are two different trees here. We have baobab and tamarind. So this baobab tree, it was discovered in 1960. That's when it was discovered, but it was there before 1960. And it's still alive, meaning it's still growing. Yes. So the area of the site is about 1.4569 hectares from the gate there up somewhere here. This area, it was also discovered in 1960, madam, as a trade center. Yeah, so this was the first trade center in Zambia where the Arabs from Zimbabwe, Portuguese from Mozambique used to come and trade from here. The local people, they had ivory, gold, copper, slaves, and salt. The Arabs, they used to come here with bangles, beads, spears, guns, and the Portuguese with the seashells from Indian Ocean, precious stones, and copper crosses. They used to come here and exchange. So in short, the trade here was done by barter system, just exchanging goods for goods because there was no money. That was the way of trading. So that's how it used to happen here, madam. This was the first trade center in Zambia, which was discovered in 1960. And this was discovered by government workers when they were constructing the water tanks at the gate there, when they were installing those water tanks. Just there, some human remains were excavated. Bangles, beads, spears, guns, and 41 human skeletons. So apart from being a trading center, so this was also a burial site. They used to bury people here because in 1960s, some skeletons were excavated. So they used to bury people here. Yeah, so some items, some of them were buried just there. But some they were taken to Livingstone Museum. Before trade, this area, it was a village. There were people before a trade. And there was also ivory here. I mentioned about salt, ivory. So meaning those Arabs, for them to come here, they knew that this area had what? Ivory and salt. So they were coming here to get those items. So this area, it was a rich in because there was ivory, there was a salt, copper probably was coming from copper belt. Copper was from copper belt. So the main significance here, because this area, it was, as I mentioned earlier, this area, it was rich in ivory. There was ivory around this area, and it was also a village. Yes, that's was the main reason why they chose this area as a trading point. It was a village. There were people here. And this village, it was closer to the Zambezi, because those Arabs and Portuguese used to come here through Zambezi River. The Zambezi is just about 2 kilometers from here. Yes. So they were coming through Zambezi River, and this area, it was the nearest village to the Zambezi River.
Not far from Ingombe Illede lies another ancient wonder, the Chirundu Fossil Forest. Here, trees have grown for millions of years, yet their trunks remain, turned to stone by time itself. This site contains tree trunks dating back over 150 million years, a silent reminder of a world that existed during the Jurassic period. Located 21 kilometers west of the Chirundu border and 200 meters away from the Siavonga and Chirundu turnoff, this fossilized forest lies within Chief Sikongo's land in Zambia's southern province. The Zambezi River, which shaped this landscape for millennia, now runs past these ancient remains, creating a stunning contrast between past and present. Unlike modern forests filled with green canopies and rustling leaves, Chirundu's trees are locked in stone, lying in the same position they fell millions of years ago. Some tree trunks are still clearly visible, with their bark and growth rings intact, revealing intricate details of their prehistoric past. These trees, once part of a lush ancient landscape, were buried by volcanic ash and minerals over time. Through a process called petrification, their organic material was replaced with stone, preserving their structure in remarkable detail.
Well, to start with, Kalenga Amos is my name. I'm the conservation assistant for the site. I work under Nation Heritage Conservation Commission. This is Chirundu Fossil Forest, where we have got trees which are stand into rocks. Scientific way, when we talk about 150 million years, actually we believe that during that given period of time, the climate itself, it was very much suitable for these coniferous trees to grow around this given area. The coniferous trees which we talk about, these are trees which fall under the group of pine trees. And they are found into very cold type of climate. If we happen to mention of today, we might mention of Europe there, where it is cold. They still have this type of vegetation growing there. Upon that 150 million years, actually here it was also very cold, is when we had this type of trees growing here. Due to change of climate, when it became hot like today, the trees themselves, they could not stand this type of climate. The trees, they had to die by a natural process, so we mean they died on their own. After getting died on their own, the trees, they were buried by sedimentary or covered by sand. When you look around this given area, most of the hills which we have around here, they are being formed up by what we call sedimentary rocks. Everywhere you find the hills which are being formed up by this type of rocks, the sedimentary rocks, that tells us that the whole of this area or land, it was underwater. The level of the hills which we're seeing, that was the level of water. Then due to change of climate, actually water which was around here, it was affected. When it became hot like today, then water started running into these two big rivers which we have. We talk of Zambezi River and Kafiwe River. By so doing that, it's when the trees themselves, they were covered up by sand itself. There is a component which we call silica from sand. When you get sand and show it to the sun, we can simply see some shining particles into it. That silica, because of water which was there, it was forced to go inside the trees to go and replace the cells of the trees. The fibers of the trees, they were replaced by silica itself. Then the logs, they had to turn into rocks. We have got a radius of 2 square kilometers for the whole site. Out of the 2 square kilometers which we have, where we have come here, it's where we have got the whole 2 complete trunks. In these other places, we are able to find some small pieces around, and they are found scattered everywhere. But most of them, they are underground. These ones which are exposed, they are very few.
As you can see, I have my foot on this rock, which looks exactly like a tree trunk. If you look at it from a distance, you won't be able to tell that this is a rock. But this, ladies, once upon a time, was a tree trunk, and now it has turned into rock. I mean, the science behind it itself is just mind-blowing to me, because this is the first experience I've had to see a tree. You would have thought it would have decomposed naturally underground, but this has been subjected to so many weather elements, and now it is a solid rock. The Chirundu Fossil Forest is an interesting discovery, even for us. This place has been here, these fossils have been here for over 150 million years. We also got a shocker just discovering that this place has been here and has been hidden. And it speaks to the fact that there's a lot more we can do in the preservation and the conservation of our heritage sites in Zambia. This place, which is located 2 minutes from the Siavonga turnoff as you head towards Chirundu, about 21 kilometers from the Chirundu border itself. Such an eye-opening experience into nature and how these tree trunks have evolved from tree trunks into rocks. And it's just a place you want to visit. It's a place you want to experience. It's an experience I can't explain, just sitting here in front, it's something that you must feel. You must come and see this rock for yourself. The rock formation, the different designs and patterns, all former trees. And legend has it, these actually date back to the dinosaur age. Once again, it's been such an exciting experience bringing these historic sites to life for you. Once again, I'm your host, Steve Mtchotsa.